Constable Jones, that's the second time your mystery caller is called today. Please let them know that police phones are for police business.
Oh, is it, Jonesy?
Well, if they won't give their name, how would I know? Maybe someone's having a joke.
Ha-ha.
Sarge, is there any chance of some time off?
No chance at all, I'm afraid. We're flat shut. There's an intervention order and summonses to deliver.
And now the intrepid sleuth heads off to his next case. Coldberg at Sugden Road.
Hey, you want a hand?
If it helps you get out of delivering summonses, my friend.
Sorry, Sarge, PJ needs me.
What? No, can't he take Ben?
That was Mrs. Warren, 3 Cobden Street, having a bit of a dispute with a neighbour, Mr. Ryan.
Yeah, all right, but don't take all day. Joe, you're with me.
So Jonesy's mystery caller. What do you reckon the story is?
I don't know, but I wish he'd stop.
Hey, so it's a guy then?
What, do you think it'd be a girlfriend or something?
Well, hard to believe there isn't anybody guy like that.
Why? You think of asking him out?
No rule against it, is there?
It's a bad idea mixing work and romance, Joe. It only leads to trouble.
So who have you been romantically involved with at work?
This is it. For the next few minutes, take your mind off your social calendar and onto the job. 9 Thomas 358 to VKC, code 5 at the last at Cobden Street.
Received, man, Thomas 358.
Just got to go. Getting rid of it.
Settle down!
Mr. I told you before. Go, I'm pulling this fence down, okay?
Not without the proper permission. He can't do that, can he? I have to have some say in it.
You can say what you bloody well like.
Just put down the axe, I'll arrest you for criminal damage and breaching the peace.
Behaving like this. No wonder your wife left you. You made her life a misery.
Don't
You're gonna
you
make mine
bloody
one
start.
too now, are you? What?
You okay?
Sorry.
9 Thomas 358 to
Come on,
9
let me go.
900. Request backup at 3 Cobden Street.
Received, 258. Will attend.
Mr. Ryan, we have criminal damage, breach of the peace, assault
I'm
police.
the victim here. Every minute of every day, she's stealing from me. I've shown her the plans, but the silly bitch just doesn't understand.
What are you talking about?
The bloke who built the housing estate's a complete idiot. He made a 30-centimetre mistake in the alignment of my property, and I want that land back.
30 centimetres.
Well, you think it's nothing, do you? If you multiply that by the depth of the block, that's 21 square metres she stole. I could build a house on that.
An outhouse, maybe.
A shed, all right? I could build a shed on it.
What you did today is no way to settle a dispute. Get yourself a lawyer and take the bloke to
I
court.
don't have the money for a lawyer. I work, but I pay maintenance. That and the mortgage, that pretty much cleans me.
Sorry, that's still no excuse. There are systems in place to deal with cases like this. You can't go taking...
Why isn't anyone listening to me?
Sit down.
You are not listening!
Put the chair down. Put it down.
Put it down.
Did I hear that his marriage had broken up recently?
That's only made things worse.
Mrs. Warren's husband is away a lot. She's seriously concerned about the safety of her 2 children and herself.
Oh, I can understand that, but... In Arnie Reiner's defence, he's had a difficult few years. His child was killed in a motor vehicle accident a couple of years back, and the divorce on top of that must have been pretty tough. Perhaps all he really needs is some compassion.
This has been going on for a long time. I don't know how much more compassion I've got.
You haven't had to call us before, have you?
Well, I kept trying to turn the other cheek, and today I just couldn't.
You could take out an intervention order to stop him from approaching or harming you.
What kind of distance? Well, if he couldn't approach within 500 metres, would he have to move house?
I'm sorry, you can't force him to move out of his own home. The best you can do is stop him approaching you or coming onto your property.
You may be receiving a summons to appear in court at a later date.
Yes, I'm really sorry about what happened. If there are any dry cleaning bills, then let me know.
No harm done, just call it in future, okay?
You satisfied with your treatment by the police here today?
Yes.
He's like 2 different people.
They're both total idiots.
Come on, you can't help feeling sorry for him.
Excuse me? Did you see what he did? He tried to wrap a chair around my head in there.
What? Really? Sarge, maybe we should try and find out what's pushing his buttons.
Joe, it's not really a police matter.
Well, the next time he goes nuts with an axe, it will be. Boss, don't you think we Should at least check into his claims. Maybe he just needs to feel he's being taken seriously.
If it'll help to settle him down, I'm all for it.
Thanks, boss.
I'll confess everything.
Oh, I'll just have to take you down the station then, won't I?
Hey, fellas! My luck's changed.
You want to point me towards your boss, mate?
Ugly one over there. Name's Les Anderson.
Funny, isn't it? Nearly every single job I've ever done, somebody's always going to have a whinge or a bitch about it. Whether it's some old Sheila who reckons a kitchen cupboard handles are the wrong colour, or this buffhead Arnie Ryan who reckons his fence is in the wrong place.
Mr. Ryan is quite adamant about this. Is the fence in the wrong place?
No, I've looked into it, and he's wrong. But if you want to check it again, you go right ahead.
I don't think he's going to drop this matter easily.
Look, Constable Parrish, the way that I see it, Arnie Ryan is an angry man looking for something to get worked up about. Now, until he's got a valid claim, and I mean a valid claim, he's wasting my time. Hello, Den.
Okay, thanks, Mr.
You said
Anderson.
2 ton, mate. No, 2 ton, I said. Whoa!
Sorry, guys, I've got a full social calendar, but if any vacancies come up, I'll call you.
Oh.
Mr. Reiner?
What do you want? You come to throw me in jail.
I've come to talk to you reasonably, but if you're not capable of doing that, I can't help you.
All right. Okay, I'm listening.
I went to see your builder.
Yeah, and I bet he pleaded innocent.
He says he's checked the fence and it's in the right place.
He's lying.
Do you think it's possible you could be mistaken? You somehow misunderstood the plan?
Les Anderson is a... He's stolen my land, and he just loves it!
All right. There's no need to upset yourself so much.
I need someone to help me. Sometimes I stand back and I watch myself. I see a madman. I don't want to be that person.
He knows he needs help,
I know he needs help, Joe, but not from us. He needs a shrink.
Well, I went to try and speak to his ex-wife about
Hey,
that,
and the
but she
boss said you could talk to the builder. Not everyone who's ever had anything to do with Arnie Reiner. How'd you go with the Coldberg?
Kids or junkies, take your pick.
Hey, Constable Jones, your mystery fan keeps calling. If you know who he is, sort him out. I'm sick of being hung up on.
Sorry, Sarge, if I knew. Sarge, did you say there were summonses to serve?
Yes. Go for it. Take Joe with you.
2 down, 3 to go. The next one's just around the corner, so if you pull up here, I'll get us both a milkshake while you take this, huh?
So what's going on? First you ask the Sarge if you can deliver blueies, now you're offering to buy me a milkshake.
It's a one-time offer.
All right, thanks. Make it nice coffee, thanks.
You got it.
He was having a deep and meaningful with this guy from that building site I went to this morning.
You were checking these blokes out, were you? Well, what's wrong with us?
I noticed him, he whistled at me.
Joe, all blokes on building sites whistle at women. It's like standing for the national anthem.
Anyway, what was Jonesy doing meeting up with him?
Jones used to be in the building trade. He was probably having a chat to a mate of his.
What about the mystery phone calls?
Well, the way Tess has been answering those, I wouldn't be leaving my name in a hurry either.
Constable Parrish and Mrs. Reiner to see you.
Mrs. Reiner, thanks for coming in. Come through.
I might give you a hand. Constable Jones, can you take,
Lucy.
Lucy, why don't you go and visit him?
Aye.
But Arnie puts on a good act. Did for years. But then the real Arnie came out and... you wouldn't want to know him.
I know you and your husband must have had a difficult time when your eldest daughter died.
She didn't die, Constable Parrish. Arnie killed her.
I thought it was an accident.
Then you haven't heard the whole story. Arnie was driving. Another car cut in front of us. He got angry. At the next lights, he got out and yelled at the other driver. They were pushing and shoving. I got out to stop them. Then another car came up from behind and smashed into ours, and our little...
I'm so sorry, Mrs. Reiner.
I couldn't stay with him. I couldn't risk him hurting our other child as well. His temper is out of control. He is beyond help.
Was he always like that?
It was that bloody house. From the day we moved in, he started to change. I told him that we should sell, but he wouldn't listen. He became obsessed. Lucy, come on.
Bye-bye.
Lucy.
Hello.
Well, at least now we know the full story. Can you imagine how guilty he must be feeling?
Look, it's a domestic, Joe. It's nothing to do with us.
He must wake up every morning, replay the death of his child and just wish he could change it.
Now, there's some trouble down at Les Anderson's building site. Guess who's causing it?
All right, just clear back there, please.
Nobody hit him, right? Nobody. He just fell over.
He's still breathing, call an ambulance. So nobody hit him, hey?
He was just going on about a fence.
I told him to go home. He started getting aggro. So I called the police, and then he keeled over. Like it or not, that's the truth, Constable.
Maybe he'd had enough. You said he approached you with an aggressive attitude.
I know you must get pretty cynical in your line of work, Constable, but I'm a law-abiding citizen. Now, if you want a character reference, pick up the phone and ring Commander Reg Jones. And he'll tell you that I'm not a crook.
They're very cute at the Imperial.
Yeah, sorry, Sarge.
Collecting the lunches usually takes 10 minutes, mate, not half an hour.
Chris ran out of change.
Oh, really?
Oh, Junior. I heard that you'd followed in your old man's footsteps. We should catch up, eh?
Look forward to it.
Just sign here. Thanks, Mr. Anderson.
I hope this is the last we hear about Arnie Reiner. We're behind on this job as it is, you know.
We'll be in touch.
Lunch, you beauty.
Is he a friend of yours?
Just someone I did a bit of work for in the building trade. What the hell was Les Anderson doing here?
We were interviewing him about an assault. What's all that about?
Just someone I didn't think I'd ever see again.
Yes, Dr. Mel. Joe, it's Dr. Mel. She wants to talk to you about Arnie Reiner's test results. Apparently he's been poisoned.
His system is loaded with DDT.
The insecticide?
Mostly used for agriculture.
It's been banned for about 25 years.
Yeah, well, it would explain the mood swings. Aggressive behaviour is one of the symptoms of DDT poisoning.
So where the hell did he get the stuff from?
Oh, he's a mad keen gardener. Maybe he ingested it by spraying it on his plants.
No, Dr. Mel's ruled that out. With the concentration in his body, he would have had to have used gallons of the stuff.
Well, you said he was racked with guilt. Well, maybe he decided to drink the stuff and end it all.
It's a terrible way to kill yourself.
Maybe someone gave it to him deliberately.
What would hear Arnie drink this DDT?
He's not loved by everyone he meets. Look, this could well be attempted murder.
I hope the bastard dies.
Do you have much contact with your ex-husband, Mrs. Reiner?
As little as possible. He sees our daughter every week.
At his house?
Yes, why?
Well, the test suggests that he was poisoned by DDT.
That'd be just about the worst thing that could happen to Arnie. He's a fanatical organic gardener, companion plants, pyrethrin daisies, hates insecticides with a passion.
Well, have you got any idea how he'd be in contact with this substance? Would it be at work or at home?
I have no idea.
Relations between you and your husband are not good, are they?
What, so that means I'm poisoning him? Believe me, for ages after our daughter died, I could have killed him. But I've moved on. I'm sure there are plenty of other people to pick up the slack.
Do you still have keys to the house?
He changed the locks the day after I left.
How do you know that?
I went back to get some stuff I'd forgotten. My keys didn't fit.
Well, she was telling the truth about the keys.
As far as heavy-duty insecticides go, we're out of luck. Pyrethrum spray, compost, manure, nothing poisonous.
Well, doesn't mean you didn't have access to it. You, visited the neighbours this morning, didn't you?
That's how this whole thing got started.
Let's see what's in her shed.
I bought that at the supermarket.
It's okay. It's not what we're looking for.
There's nothing else in there.
Look, I've got kids. I'm extremely careful with that stuff.
I'm sure you are.
I'd never poison Arnie Reiner. I mean, the guy's a menace, but I don't want him dead.
Right. Now, I need you to get that stuff off the forensic ASAP.
Hey, how'd you go?
It's too early to say.
Too early to say. Come on, PJ, the lack of evidence just makes it look more sus. If it was an accident or something, you'd expect to find at least one can with a deadly poison symbol on it.
Okay. It could be attempted suicide.
So, what's your next move?
Well, we've taken samples from his garden and his pantry. If he's been ingesting it regularly, it could be something he's been eating.
Sounds like an interesting case.
Yeah, DDT poisoning. Pretty weird.
And Les Anderson built his house? Oh, test filled me in.
Yeah. Why so interested?
It's just good to know what's going on around the place. Is there any suspects?
Wife and neighbour don't fit the bill, so we're just going to have to wait until we hear back about the samples. Look, I'm going to a movie tonight in St David's. You want to come along?
Oh, I'd love to, but I've got some study to do. Another time, yeah?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, another time.
So, this is how you spend your evenings, Constable. Scouring old newspapers for local council news.
Yeah, it's just something I said I'd do for a mate.
Well, I've got to take these back anyway, so I'll see you tomorrow.
So this is what you read. Sophie and the Sultan, no bodice goes unread.
I'm just trying one out so you can stop teasing me.
I kind of like these books.
Yeah, sure you do.
No, really, Mum used to read them and I'd hassle her. She said if you're going to be a smart ass about it, you better know what you're talking about. Read one? It wasn't bad.
Somehow, I just can't picture you reading romance novels.
Let's just call it research. Look, I'm just about finished, so what say we go for a night?
No, I don't think so.
Don't make me tell the rest of the station what their sergeant reads.
Am I hearing obtain nightcap by threats here, Constable?
Full of funny bits were in the trailer. I shouldn't have bothered.
Oh, it sounds like you just needed some company, you know, someone to laugh with.
Oh, stop me eating a whole bag of lollies on my own, no thanks.
Joe, come and join us. We're just at the part where Sophie's been made to dance for the Sultan minus the 7 veils.
No thanks, I'm just going to go up to my room. I've got some studying to do.
Morning.
G'day.
Morning, Joe.
Do you want a coffee?
No thanks.
Hi.
Here, have this one.
All right, thanks. What's up with Joe this morning?
She asked me to the movies last night, and I said that I had to study, and then she copped us together at the pub.
All right, I'll have a word sorted out.
Is that such a good idea?
It's better than having a harbour ridiculous thoughts about you and me.
What would be so ridiculous about that?
Well, for a start, it's not true.
Joe, can I grab a word outside, please?
Pretty snowed under, actually.
1 minute. Joe, I wasn't lying. I was at the library last night studying. I ran into the sergeant there and we came back to the pub. End of story.
So, what were you studying?
You told me you'd run out of suspects on the Arnie Reiner case. Well, I've got one for you. Les Anderson.
Got any proof?
This is what I was doing last night.
Why are you giving this to me? Why aren't you taking this straight to the boss yourself?
Well, let's just say if it came from me, it'd just be dismissed as a personal grudge.
This information isn't dodgy somehow, is it?
No. I checked it all out at the library last night and double-checked it with the council. It's all legit. Joe, I just need help from someone I can trust.
It's all in there, boss. Arnie's house, that whole development of Les Anderson's, in fact, was built on the side of an old chemical storage facility.
Yes.
You knew that already?
Anybody that's lived in Mount Thomas for longer than 5 minutes knew that. Look, I remember it from when I was a young bloke. It was fertilisers, weed killers, insecticides, all sorts of stuff. They closed it down 20 years ago.
Well, it isn't hard to join the dots. I mean, chemicals were stored where Arnie's house is. Arnie's had a near-lethal dose of them. Les Anderson obviously cut corners, saved money, and Arnie Reiner's been poisoned as a result.
Parish, but if that's the case, why isn't anybody else on the development showing the same symptoms?
Especially Wendy Reiner. She lived in the same house.
Maybe Arnie got unlucky, had more exposure. He's always in that garden of his. Groundwater seeping in, I don't know. I think we need to look at Les Anderson's business practices more closely.
The EPA gave Anderson's development a clean bill of health. What we need is the forensic on those samples.
Negative on the food samples from Arnie Reiner's cupboards. But the soil, veggie garden, in fact, the whole yard came up positive for insecticide. No wonder the poor bugger's sick.
Remember me, Arnie?
I gave you a swimming lesson.
You sure did.
Have you come to give me the dry cleaning bill?
I wanted to tell you we've found out what's been affecting you.
Affecting me?
Making you behave the way you do. It isn't your fault. We've found a toxic chemical in the soil of your garden. You've been exposed to it on a daily basis.
My garden?
I don't care. It doesn't change what happened.
You told me things hadn't always been that way.
Yeah, well, people change.
But in this case, there was a reason. What was he like before?
Please, you know, I don't want to... It's too painful.
Was he a good man?
Yes. The perfect husband, the perfect father. We had a great life. He used to read the girls a story every night. They always wanted the same one. He didn't mind. He had special voices he'd do for all the characters. And I'd get annoyed because the girls would get too excited to sleep.
He's really sick, Mrs. Reiner.
How could I ever forgive him?
Guys, I just talked to the EPA. You name it, the Cobden Street site had it. DDT, asbestos sheds, environmental nightmare.
Well, there you go.
But Anderson and Bridges, as the firm was known then, did a good clean-up of the place. In fact, the EPA congratulated them.
Well, they must have missed some of the stuff under Arnie Reiner's block.
No, they dozed the whole site. They did a huge amount of backfilling.
If the EPA okayed it, the chemicals must have got there somehow, and I bet Les Anderson knows. We got to put some pressure on him.
Without more proof, we've got no reason to do that.
You can't just give up on Anderson, Joe. I know he's guilty.
That's not going to stand up. If you got something else on the guy, you better tell us.
I can't.
Well, then I can't help you.
Look, I haven't told you anything else for your own protection. You don't know what he's capable
It
of.
sounds like you're over-dramatising.
Don't believe me, I'm not. Les is dangerous.
Joe, Dr. Mel rang. Arnie Reiner just died. I'm sorry.
Mrs. Reiner, I'm so sorry.
I came to see him. I thought about what you said. I didn't expect a miracle, but we could have been friends. He was unconscious when I arrived. He couldn't hear when I took back all the terrible things I said. He'll never know now.
Maybe in his heart he knew you didn't mean them.
But I did mean them. I have lost a child and a husband because of all of this. How can something like this happen?
An organic gardener picks up DDT poisoning from his own garden and dies as a result. What's going on, Mr. Anderson?
Are you saying that my company didn't do a proper clean-up job?
We checked with the EPA. They said you did a great job.
Yeah, we did. We hauled heaps of crap out of here and we used reputable, clean fill blokes. End of story.
Which firm provided the Cobden Street fill?
I don't know. Yeah, my filing's not the best. I should be able to pick up a paper trail. Anyway, if something went wrong with this job, my partner Sam Bridges handled all the details like this. Maybe his name rings a bell. He's Evan Jones's father.
Constable Jones's father is a commander in the police force. You mentioned his name to us yesterday.
No, I mean his real father. Reg Jones is his adopted father.
Well, where is this Sam Bridges? I might need to talk to him about some of this.
He's dead. He killed himself.
Why?
Constable Jones has some romantic ideas about his long-lost father, but I can assure you he wasn't the best role model a boy could have. After he died, we found that the company was a bit, well, disorganised.
Disorganised how?
Does it really matter? Why go over it? Why rehash it all? The man's dead.
It might have some relevance to the case, Mr. Anderson.
He was into the firm for a six-figure sum. My partner was a hopeless gambler. I suppose he thought that he'd get caught out of the next audit and didn't want to go to jail, or maybe it's the guilt over this chemical business, who knows? But the man must have been pretty desperate to shoot himself in the head with a nail gun, don't you reckon?
Thought we're on the same team, Jonesy. Now I find out you're using me in some sort of personal vendetta. Why don't you tell me the truth?
Joe, I'm sorry. I know how it looks, but if you just listen to me...
No, I'm sick of listening to you, Jonesy. Now I'm just angry.
Yeah, fine. Be angry. Just let me talk. I didn't tell you about Sam's death because I knew Les would use the facts to discredit me. Say that I was prejudicing the case towards him.
Basically, what Les has told me makes it sound like Sam Bridges is the one to blame for Arnie's death.
Well, Les isn't stupid. If you made a mistake like that, who would you blame? A business partner who wasn't around to defend themselves because they'd been murdered.
Les said Sam killed himself.
So why did the coroner bring in an open finding? Because suicide was impossible to prove because Les murdered my father.
Even you must know how crazy this sounds. Like you're trying to protect your real father by blaming Les.
Well, that's exactly what Les wants you to think.
Well, so tell me why I shouldn't.
Because I'm telling the truth.
Then we go and tell Peter.
Look, that's not such a good idea. This thing goes a lot deeper than just Les.
Come with me, or I go on my own. You want me to believe you? This is where it starts.
Two people connected with Les Anderson are now dead. First Sam, then Arnie.
I know you don't want to see it this way, but if Les is telling the
Yeah,
way...
if! Sam's conveniently dead, and we've only got Les Anderson's word for it.
Why are you so convinced this bloke is lying? If you've got some evidence, Constable, I advise you to spit it out.
Les and Sam and my father, Reg Jones, go way back. They grew up together. Sam and Les went into the building trade and Reg joined the police force.
Because that's what the Joneses do. Huh?
Yeah. Even us adopted ones eventually. But when I finally found my real father, I went to work for him in the building trade. Now, Les didn't like that right from the jump, and I wasn't sure why at the time, but now I think it's because he didn't want anyone looking after Sam's
But
interests.
Sam is a grown man. I mean, why would he need anyone to do that?
Because he's too easygoing. He likes driving a dozer and putting up a house. He's more like one of the labourers than a partner.
So he left the business end of things to Les.
Yeah. I pushed him to keep an eye on his own interests, but he wouldn't. Then Sam gets worried and wouldn't say why. Then suddenly he turns up with a nail through his head.
Les says suicide.
Yeah, Les would.
Anything else you need to share with us, Constable?
Yeah, I don't like Brussels sprouts.
I'll make some discreet inquiries.
Tell me about another coincidence. Your father dies in mysterious circumstances. You suddenly join the police force and end up stationed in Mount Thomas.
Well, I won't deny that I'm interested to shed a little light on the subject of Sam's death.
You joined up to do that?
Family tradition. I'm a Jones.
And the appointment to Mount Thomas?
I've worked here before. I like the place.
Why did you keep this from us? It could have helped us with the case.
Inexperience on my part. I'm sorry.
Jones?
St David's handled Sam Bridges' death.
Yeah, that's where it happened.
Right, well, I had a chat with a copper who attended the scene.
And what's her theory?
Well, she was being a bit cagey on the phone, but she said she'd fax me a copy of the inquest brief in the morning.
Be very interesting to see it.
All right, see you in the morning.
Hey, look, go. Just be careful, okay?
Hey?
Don't take any risks.
You should talk.
What was all that about?
PJ's getting the inquest brief on Sam's death.
I don't know how far this is taking us on Auntie Rhina, you know.
There may be a connection. Can we go somewhere and talk?
I don't know, Evan. I'm not sure what you'll tell me will be the truth.
Look, Tess, I don't lie. I may keep information to myself, but I don't lie.
Chris, have you got a table for two?
Sure, your usual three.
Constable Jones is buying me dinner.
The guy I grew up thinking was my father was Reg Jones. Then when I'm 19, I'm told my real father's this bloke, Sam Bridges.
So you went looking for him?
Not straight away, no. You think he's not looking for me, so why should I look for him? But then I finally tracked him down at St David's. I was 26 by then.
Were you angry with him?
Before I met him, I was. Then I was sorry I hadn't looked for him sooner.
Was he anything like you expected?
He was like a big brother. He had the same nose, same eyes. He even had the same laugh. We got drunk together once and he started talking about Mum. How when he met her, it was love at first sight. But he was already married. And he regretted that. And then he cried. Just cried like a baby. And was saying Mum was the only one that he'd ever loved, and that he still loved her. We were really close after that. And then he had to go and die on me.
Got the inquest brief on Samuel Bridges. No, I might have missed something, but so far I can understand why the coroner came down with an open finding.
Yeah, because it was totally sus.
How much detail do you want?
Everything.
Mate, we aren't talking about your father.
PJ, I want to know exactly what happened.
All right. He was found in the chair in the side office, cause of death nailed through the skull. The nail that killed him was found in the wall behind him.
And the nail gun compressor was still switched on?
A nail gun was in his lap. So far it could be suicide.
Yeah, with an unusual weapon.
Mate, when people get desperate, there's no accounting for what they'll use. But the problem the copper had on the day was the angle of entry. All right? Now, you're sitting there.
No. Nail guns are heavy. You've got to use the two-handed.
Right, two hands. He's got the nail gun here, right? Straight up under the jaw, because he wants to do the job right. Pulls the trigger, bang, job's done.
So what's the problem?
That's not how it happened. The penetrating wound indicates the nail gun was pointing backwards. I mean, any low would have taken out the top vertebrae. So the investigation had to look at other scenarios. An accident, maybe. Nail gun was playing up.
No.
He went off accidentally.
No. He was too good mechanically.
Look, even experienced people make mistakes, Jones.
But what about the time of death? I mean, between 9 and 11 p.m. on a Sunday night? You're not sitting at home with your feet up in front of the telly thinking, oh, I better nick over to the side office and kill myself, are you?
Unless he was fiddling with the books.
Look, I've told you, if anyone was fiddling with the books, it was Les Anderson. BJ, Sam wasn't the suicidal type.
You don't know that, Evan. No one ever knows that about another person.
G'day, sir. Can I help you?
Peter Vella, my wife tells me a Constable Parish phoned.
Mr. Vella.
Oh, hello, my luck's changed.
Constable Parrish has just stepped out of the office for the moment, but if you'll wait here, I'll see if Detective Hasham can speak to you.
Right.
Now, let me get this straight, Mr. Vella. You're in the waste disposal business, right? But you also provide clean landfill? Is that right?
The answer's trucks.
Trucks?
What the two things have in common.
Tip trucks, like the one that Constable Parrish saw you in the other day.
And garbage trucks, I've got one of those too. See, the waste disposal business in Mount Thomas is a bit limited. So, combining waste disposal with delivering clean top fill to building sites represents diversification within the frame.
It's a bit confusing though, isn't it? Huh? Waste disposal, landfill.
You ever got the two mixed up?
I'm not an idiot. Or a criminal.
You deliver landfill to Les Anderson, don't you?
I might.
Yeah, come on, Constable Parrish saw you doing it the other day.
Well, yes, then.
Did you ever provide Mr. Anderson with landfill for the Cobden Street development?
This is about Arnie Reiner getting poisoned, isn't it?
Is it possible that a mistake was made as to what went into the landfill at Cobden Street?
No, it is not. If you go around saying that's what happened, well, you'd better be prepared to defend the allegation in a court of law.
We may need to speak to you again, Peter.
Sergeant?
Commander Jones, I'm Sergeant Gallagher.
I've heard good things. Constable. Settling in all right?
Sir?
Now, if the senior sergeant's in, I'd like to have a word.
Of course, sir. Boss, it's Commander Jones to see you.
Thank you, Sergeant.
Dropping past to see your son, sir?
Not really, no.
So this is an official visit?
Again, not really.
Well, with respect, sir, you're not actually commander of this region. We didn't know you were coming, so...
Good.
Tea? Coffee?
Sit down, Senior Sergeant. I'll get a crick in my neck looking at you. It's been brought to my attention that your Detective Hasham has been asking for some paperwork involving the death of Mr. Sam Bridges, a builder, formerly in partnership with a man called Les Anderson.
Yeah, I wasn't aware that Detective Hasham was asking for the paperwork, sir, but he's a good detective. I'm sure he has valid reasons.
Which might be?
Well, I'll get him in and he can tell you himself.
No.
Then in that case, I can only speculate. There's been a poisoning involving Les Anderson and a contaminated building site. Perhaps Detective Hasham is trying to establish a connection between this and the death of Mr. Bridges.
If you were to tell Detective Hasham there was no connection, then he would cease to look into the death of Mr. Bridges.
Technically, sir, Detective Hasham doesn't report to me. He reports to an inspector at St. David's.
I didn't say order him. I said tell him. Inform him of my wishes. If I do it through his immediate supervisor in St. David's, it becomes official.
May I ask why Mr. Bridges' death is the subject of this secrecy?
You're certainly entitled to ask. There are sensitivities involved.
Well, it would help us with our inquiries if we knew which part of the minefield not to step on.
Sorry. Need-to-know basis. If you are thinking of making a diary note of this conversation, I'd ask you to refrain from doing so.
Duly noted.
Which means you're going to?
Yes, sir.
You're thinking there's some sort of corruption involved, aren't you?
I'm not really sure what to think, sir.
Best not to think at all. Talk to Detective Hasham, and then forget we had this conversation.
Commander Jones has just told me that because of certain sensitivities, which he would not reveal, that we are to cease all inquiries into the death of Sam Bridges.
What?
Naturally, I've informed Inspector Falcon Price of this development.
I bet he said, do it, don't rock the boat.
You're a very cynical man, PJ.
So, what did he say?
He said, do it, don't rock the boat. I've told Commander Jones that I intend to make a diary note of our conversation. I strongly advise you to do the same.
What's going on here, boss?
If I knew, I'd tell you.
But this is some kind of cover-up.
I'd love to hear some other explanation.
So what's going on?
Perhaps you should tell me.
My father rolls in out of his own region, talks to the boss. The boss talks to you guys, and you walk out looking like a family at a funeral?
You are just a mess of hidden agendas. The mystery phone calls, the obsession with Anderson. Just tell me what is going on.
You're better off not knowing.
No, level with me.
No, I wonder if you actually want that.
Now.
Okay. Sam's death was murder to cover up Les Anderson's theft of company funds. It was covered up a year ago when it happened, and it's been covered up again. At commander level, by my father, Reg Jones. You satisfied?